hour. Yes, the hour of the day when the veil is thin and magic happens. We have some very fun, beautiful magic for you today, and we get to know her ourselves. She is an author. She is a tarot reader. She has all sorts of magic. Welcome, Lori Lytle. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Patti. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. So you're the creator of Inner Goddess Tarot, right? Co-creator of the Unifying Consciousness Tarot and author of Talismans of Tarot, Magic Tools to Amplify, Attract, and Manifest. That's quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
And you also have one coming out soon, right? Tarot for Introverts and Empaths.
I do. It sounds beautiful coming from you, Patti. I can't believe that, I can't believe that those books are coming out into the world and are out in the world. It's still exciting and kind of new for me. So
So that's
nice to hear
beautiful.
you in
Well,
those words.
congratulations all at once. So how did this world come about? How did tarot find you? Were you in the magical world first and then discovered tarot? Or did tarot lead you down your magical path?
That's a good question, Patti, because magic has always been a part of my life since I was a kid and really didn't know what I was doing. Like just all the things I were interested kept taking me back down those kind of magical rabbit holes before I really knew what I was doing. Right. But I guess tarot was the first time I actually worked consciously with a magical tool, like actually learning how to use it and exploring it deeply rather than it being just kind of an intuitive or instinctive thing. So tarot started my magical path in that way.
Beautiful. So what made you decide to do I understand tarot, I'm a tarot reader, but I can't even imagine designing my own deck. So what made you go, I have a different idea about things, or what made you decide to do your own very big endeavor tarot deck?
So, and it's true, Patty, like if I knew what I know now, then I would have, I'm not sure I would have gone down that path. No, of course I would have, but there's a lot to it. There's a lot when creating a deck is a lot, right? But I have always wanted to create my own deck, Patty. Like since I'm a big Rider-Waite-Smith fan, like I'm really attached to that deck. But I always had the idea that I'd love to create my own, but I have absolutely no artistic ability whatsoever. So that was kind of a hindrance. So I had a very good friend, my very good friend Leo. He is Leo Scopa Casa, is a co-creator of the deck with me. And he's a wonderful artist. I had known him for years and loved his work. And the more that I got into tarot, the more I started seeing tarot archetypes winking at me, saying, "Hey, Lori, pay attention," in his work. So Leo at that time didn't have any tarot background. And so I sprung this small idea on him. How would you feel about creating 78 pieces of artwork with me? And much to my surprise, he was like, sure. Yeah, he was into it. So we worked together to create the deck. And I did it, first of all, as an indie deck, launched it on Kickstarter, and it did well. And then now it's out in a beautiful mass market version. So
that's beautiful. So if he wasn't familiar with tarot itself, did you give him the description of a card or your description of the card and how give him freedom from there, or tell him what you want?
Yeah, that was such a fun part of the process because I told Leo, like, I gave him a lot of notes and talked to him about what each card meant to me and what I thought was really important as far as the symbolism and the energy of the card, like what the core message of it was to me. And then I said, please, run with it and show me what you see. And so we went back and forth, and there were just occasional times when I had to say, oh, there's a particular symbol that needs to be in there, or a particular kind of imagery. And then Leo would adjust to kind of fit that vision that I had. But we worked really well together. It was a really nice collaborative process. And because I'm such an admirer of his art. And so to be able to kind of play with it and put it in a tarot context was great. And now, of course, Leo reads tarot, right? So pull
there
them
you
into
go. Of course.
Yeah.
So I love that you're a co-creator on the Unifying Consciousness Tarot. That's a long name. What exactly does that mean to you, Unifying Consciousness?
Well, when we created the deck, the premise was that all of us here on this planet come from the same source. We all share the same consciousness and we all come from love. Right? So we wanted this tarot deck to be something that people work with to foster that feeling of connection and understanding that, when we make this kind of crazy decision to come into a physical body and live in the world, that we're doing this as learning experience, learning how to love ourselves, learning how to love others, and understanding who we really are. And we're here to play and learn. So when people work with our deck, we find that it really kind of activates that part of them, that playfulness, that connection. And so we wanted them to be able to work with the deck in that very personal kind of spiritual way of understanding that you're part of something bigger than just yourself. And that's really wonderful.
That's great. So you realize, are you saying that tarot is more than just divination? It's literally part of your spiritual path.
Yes, very much.
That's great. So you describe yourself as an introvert, an empath, a witch, and an overthinker.
Yes, that's a lot.
Which of those came first, or did they all kind of come together, or are they connected?
Yeah, and you know what, Patty? Like I find a lot of tarot readers are introverts, at least the ones that cross my path. And I'm a Gemini too, and a lot of tarot readers seem to be Geminis too, or maybe I just gravitate to fellow Geminis and fellow introverts. But being an introvert and an empath is completely interwoven with my tarot practice because growing up as an introvert in this really noisy world that really loves extroverts is not the easiest thing. And, you tend to approach it or feel like maybe there's something wrong with you, that you need to be fixed, you're too quiet, you come out of your shell, these kind of things you hear, right? So by reading tarot, that's how I got to know myself really well and understand my strengths and my own superpowers and the gift of being a sensitive person. So when I read tarot for myself and for a lot of my clients who are also sensitive, introvert, empath people, like I've found how really nurturing the tarot can be for those of us with that nature. So when I approach the cards, I'm coming to them as an introvert and an empath, and my style of reading for other people is like that too, like um, a lot more listening and asking questions rather than just telling, "Mm, this is
I
what
like
you
that.
please." Okay. Yeah.
I like. So let's talk about talismans. I'm kind of a bit of a talisman girl. So what inspired you to combine tarot and talisman magic in itself?
Well, and that's another good question because as I'm talking to Patty, like it's so fun to think about like all these different parts of my life weave together and all the practices. And tarot is sort of at the center, I have to admit. Right? But with talismans and tarot, like since I was a kid, I had been doing magic without really knowing what I was doing. So I was working with talismans in that and lucky charms and amulets when I was a kid without really thinking about it. I always had a lucky charm in my pocket. I always had a lot of jewelry on it that had powerful symbolic meaning to me. And so since I was a kid, I was working with this idea that I understood that the power came from me, but I could focus it by working with a physical object, right? And usually a really nice shiny thing because I love jewelry, I love crystals, right? So this is a great way to combine those loves. Um, and in the meantime, I was learning about tarot. And to me, tarot is a tool for empowerment and manifestation. Working with the cards can help you to manifest your goals, just like a talisman can. So all of a sudden I had this revelation, like, why don't I just combine them and work with them together? Because then they can amplify each other's power and open up new possibilities. So I started this process of combining tarot reading focused on the magic you want to create, the intention that you have, and then taking the information from that tarot reading and kind of locking it into your talisman so that you can call upon it, amplify it, attract what you desire. So it was sort of a natural process of like two streams in my life that were really important and part of my practice. And then just naturally, I thought, hey, this fits together.
It's beautiful. Now, if somebody doesn't know, I've again love talismans, but if I've got a lot of newbies out there, what
Mhm.
exactly makes an object a talisman?
Yeah. So And I guess we'll talk a little bit too about the idea of, I mentioned like lucky charms and amulets. I work with them as well. But the reason I like working with talismans, and as I'm saying this, I have lucky charms in my pocket and I do, like, so I do still, my heart still goes there. But these are all magical objects, right? An amulet, a lucky charm, and talisman, they believe that they have the power to help us in some way. So a lucky charm attracts luck to us, but it's kind of broad, right? We just hope something will, I'll be lucky today, right? An amulet is protective. And so the idea that you're warding off something, and that you're protecting yourself from some kind of perhaps external harm or that kind of thing. A talisman kind of turns it around and becomes an active object. It's consecrated or dedicated to a particular purpose, something that you want to manifest. So you're working with that talisman, your energy and the innate power in the talisman are working together actively to help you achieve a goal, a dream, a desire. And creating a talisman, you do this through a magical process. I mentioned consecrating it. So it's sort of like you're doing magical work that you're telling your talisman, hey, we're going to work together. We're going to support each other. We're going to create this thing together. And you're focusing your will and imbuing that object with your own power to support you. So it's active and you create it, so that even makes it more effective.
It's beautiful. Okay, so say if somebody wanted to create a talisman. How about a tarot inspired talisman?
Yeah.
Where would they begin?
Well, my process has always been that starting with your intention. So magic starts with an intention. What change do you want to create, or what do you want to manifest? Why are you doing this in the first place? So I would start with that. And you don't have to stress yourself out too much at that point of being completely laser sharp or crystal clear. You can just have an idea of how you want to feel or what it is you want to create. But then I turn to my tarot cards to help me to hone in on that. What is it that I really want? What does that look like? How might I invite that in my life? Is there anywhere that I'm limiting myself? Can I open up my intention even bigger? So doing a tarot reading to clarify even more what kind of magic I'm making, because there's power in that. I think once you do the magic, you have to let it go and let it unfold as it needs to. But the more clarity you can get around why you're doing this in the first place, what your intention is powerful. So after that, I do the tarot reading, then I start to think about the talisman. That's the really fun part. What do I want to work with? As I said, Patty, I love crystals. So I might pick one. I figured. So maybe you pick a crystal that the properties of the crystal align with your intention. So if you want to love yourself more, maybe you're going to use a rose quartz or something, right? Or maybe you're going to use something in the shape of a heart or along these lines, right? A symbol that has meaning for you or a particular object. So you can have some fun. You're layering things. So you've got the power and magic of your tarot reading. Then you layer in the material that you're working with. Maybe it's a symbol that you're working with too. And then after that, you get into the fun part of consecrating it. So deciding when are you going to do your magic, because you can amplify it depending on the phase of the moon or the day of the week. Oh, there's so many fun things to play with, right? So all of these layers. And then finally you do your ritual that forms that bond and that agreement and turns your like a kind of mundane but beautiful object into something magical.
That's
So I know it
beautiful.
sounds like a lot, Patty, but it's fun, right? Like it's all funny stuff.
But it felt fun. No, it does sound fun. So again, you've done your tarot reading. You're looking for, like you said, love, whether self-love or loving.
Yeah.
And cards, our tarot cards do lend some towards love and some towards prosperity, money, some towards protection or creativity.
Yeah.
Do you like if you're doing a love thing, but you're pulling a bunch of swords, is that going to help influence you?
Yeah. I guess, Patty, like to me, the power of the tarot reading is that it gives you greater clarity. So like just like you said, if you're doing a love reading, whether it's self-love or inviting romantic love and you're getting a bunch of swords, then you might want to you might want to pause and ask yourself, what's going on here? Is there something I need to understand or release, or is there some fear or limitation here, or and there might be something. So the cards, I think, can help you to see where you're at and what's going to support you in achieving your goal, and what might be something that you need to work through first. So I think the cards always give us helpful information that will help you to get the clarity you need to really to do the magic. Does that make sense?
Yeah, complete sense. Again, because we
Mm.
don't know what we don't know, and that's what our inner work that we go there to look at that.
Yeah.
So I think that's beautiful. Um, and you did mention, and you said the difference of I love the charm versus talisman versus the luck and
Yeah.
protection. That's the perfect description. Let's look again at your unifying consciousness. Are your decks all basic tarot, your 78 decks, or are they based on the traditional tarot systems?
Yeah, like our unifying consciousness tarot is based on the Wheat Smith system. Um, because I am at heart, like, this is not a traditional looking deck, right? Like, the artwork is not traditional, but at heart I am a traditional person. So for me, the Five of Swords needs to have five swords on it, that kind of thing. I mean, and don't mess with the High Priestess, because that's my favorite card. It's got to have the energy of it. So we definitely kept that structure, but we introduced another major arcana card called Activation, just to fit with the theme of the deck. And so otherwise, it's following the traditional structure. So anyone who has a basic understanding of tarot, I feel they can pick up this deck and work with it. But the imagery is a little bit strange and different, and whispers to your intuition in a different way. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, my impression is that a lot of people really like to use our deck when they're reading for themselves, as opposed to reading for other people, because, oh, what a cute cat.
That's crazy.
Hi, Gracie. And so a lot of people like to read for themselves with it, because it really activates your intuition and takes you very deep, right? But
I
I like to read for myself with it too. But so that's my impression, that a lot of people like to use it for
That's
themselves.
that's beautiful. So, okay, your upcoming the tarot, that's the tarot for introverts and empaths,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Why do you think, again, and you've stated yourself why do you think so many tarot readers are introverts and empaths?
Yeah.
I mean, the empath I sort of get, but what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, because I'm an introvert and an empath, then there's certain certain traits that resonate with the cards. So things like introverts are highly observant, I think. They when when I'm in a room full of people, I'm very much aware of everything that's going on. And then the empath comes in and says, I'm aware of how everybody's feeling. And so those sensitivities, we bring that to the cards, so we can have that clarity when we're like understanding and really listening well to what people are saying when we're reading for them. Empathy brings an understanding, understanding how they're feeling, and being able to guide them in that way. I think introverts listen well, and we're not already thinking of what we want to say when the other person is talking. Do you know what I mean? So as I said, Patty, like, my style of reading for people is conversational, but I like to like listen and really hear what they're saying, and then say, okay, that's interesting. Well, how does this card fit in with it? Or so introvert, that's an introvert way of sort of prompting people to discover their own answers rather than telling them things. We still are telling useful information, but we're helping people get there, right? So I
Discover.
think
Yeah.
so I think just that sensitivity and ability to introverts, I think, and empaths both also kind of understand how to work with other people's energy to make them feel seen and heard and comfortable and in the space. So to me, that's a really valuable trait in the tarot reader too, is being able to create, introverts can create and hold space well, I think, as well as empath. Yeah. But that being said, Patty, like, I have extrovert friends who are great tarot readers too, but I myself feel more comfortable reading if a kind of an introverted person reads for me because we understand each other. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I like that. Relatable too.
Yeah.
So, speaking of empathy, since we are,
Yeah.
do you believe empathy is a gift, a skill, or both?
That's interesting question because I do think it's a gift, but learning how to effectively manage, navigate, and work with it is a skill. Is when I talk about empathy too, like being an empath to me is different than having empathy for
Right.
right? And because like empathy, you can feel for someone. Someone feels sad, you feel sad for them too. You understand, right? It's like you have compassion for them. You want to help them. But empaths feel other people's emotions like they're their own. And that can be challenging. It's really wonderful because you have that deep connection and understanding of people. But when you um, find yourself feeling these really strong emotions, the skill I think is learning how to differentiate. Okay, this is what I am feeling. This is mine. This I'm picking up from someone else. And then the next step is understanding, do I need to do anything with that? Right. Or can I just witness and feel it? Because I think empaths often want to help and heal and fix. Right. And we can't do that all the time because then there's nothing left.
Right.
Us, right.
That's good. That is beautiful. And is there a way you protect your own energy or just the awareness of it?
Yeah. Well, certainly the awareness of it and haha also tells course, always with the talismans when I leave the house or even in the house and when I leave the house. But yeah, of course, Patty, like we learn ways to shield our energy. Yeah. That an empath and an introvert both, we have to learn how to put those shields up when we're around other people. And part of it too is also knowing when to retreat and replenish. Like after I've been around a lot of people or, reading tarot at an event for lots of people, I need to go home and sit in a dark room and release it all and replenish. So I think it's an awareness, having that awareness of your nature and of your energy and working with it rather than trying to fight it or force yourself to be an extrovert when you aren't. Yeah.
I agree. That's beautiful. Um, okay. Yeah, well, here's a fun question since you have a cat on screen for anybody watching. I have a cat on screen. Cats and tarot actually do seem to go together kind of naturally. Why do you think cats are such magical companions? Do you think it's a witchy thing or just that cat magic?
I mean, this is my willow keeping me company. Patty, I put that chair there for me because I thought it might be nice to sit there and read a book, but she is always.
Yeah.
And when I read the cards, Willow likes to be nearby. And I know when she meows or gets up, moves around, and something's going on too. She's helping out or she's picking up on something. So I think cats to me are kind of like introverts and empaths. We share that energy, of when we need to be left alone, or we might get a little bit angry with you. And they pick up on the energy that's all around. They see things that we don't see. I know Miss Willow can see a lot of things around me that I can't see. So I think that we're just, tarot people and witchy and magical people. We're kindred spirits. Our cats are kindred spirits to us.
We definitely are. Again, my Gracie is just off camera, sitting here staring at you right now. Into the camera. That's great. And I have a willow as well. If anybody's hearing the word willow, people know my willow is a dog, a little doxy dog. But we both have a willow and a cat, not the one and the same.
That's nice. It's pretty nice.
Okay, I think you're adorable. If you can, this is a weird question I don't usually ask, but say if you were to have an evening having tea with any historical, maybe a witch or a mystic or an occultist or any magical person, who would it be?
Oh, that's an interesting question, and it's really hard one to answer. But I have to say, like the first thing that came into my mind when you talk about a magical person, I'd love to sit down with Pixie, with Pamela Coleman Smith.
Ah, Oh,
The
that makes
creator of, yeah,
perfect sense.
I would love to sit down and have a good conversation because there's such mystery surrounding her. And the artwork that she created changed my life. So I would sure love to sit down and have a cup of tea and a good chat with her.
That's a beautiful answer.
Yeah.
So I think you did mention a favorite tarot card. Which tarot card fits the most to you? Do you have a tarot card
Yes.
that's your most you?
Yes. Yes. So High Priestess all the way. So the High Priestess is my tarot soul card, my birth card. And I can't claim to always be the High Priestess because, she is everything. She knows all, she sees all, and goes between the worlds with ease and calm and poise. That is not me all the time. When I'm at my best or when I'm reading the cards, then yeah. And High Priestess is an introvert to me. She understands about boundaries and space and holding space. So yeah, I love, and I would also say I adore the Queen of Wands, and that's something I'm inspired to, but it's not my net. I can only temporarily be her with that fiery extrovert energy. So, but I
I
love her.
love
And her with her black cat. So I love her too.
it. So speaking of tarot, which card again does a profound reading do you think is the most misunderstood?
Wow. Wow. There's a few that come to mind, and there's some that I struggle or have struggled with too, because I mean, Patty, the first one that comes to mind for me is the Hierophant, because I'm misunderstood card, I think, because often it's depicted in a very patriarchal, hierarchical, yeah, kind of way. So I think a lot of people struggle with that card and I understand it because we see that imagery and we think, I think patriarchy, no, or dogma. But I've come to understand that the Hierophant can be a wise teacher and somebody that communicates valuable information to you and helps you understand tradition things, right? And then it's up to you to decide if that tradition is right for you or not. But I think that's a card that a lot of people have a visceral reaction to. And
I think you're
can be
good,
hard.
sir. I agree. Um, is there a tarot myth that you wish would disappear forever, or is about either tarot itself or tarot readers?
Oh yeah, there's many for tarot readers as well. But I think the myth around tarot, I know I'm not the only one for this, but this idea that somebody has to give you your first deck or has to give you a deck that you can't buy your own. No, go and buy your own. I bought my own tarot. My first tarot deck, I bought it myself when I was 13. Went in a dusty occult store and it was just winking at me, so I didn't wait. If I'd waited for somebody to buy me a deck, who knows what would have happened. Right? So, because people do ask me that, is it okay if I buy my own and so yes, I would like that one to disappear.
I I agree 100%. That is the best one. I've not thought about it before because I buy my own decks. You know what you're going to relate to. That's like what's going to work for you. What's going to read itself. My first deck, I think my mom gave me. I was really little, like little. So that is cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's a good one to let go of. So go buy
Yes.
your own deck.
Go buy
Uh,
many, many decks. Yeah. Your collection will grow.
yeah, it will. But I still have one that I go to. I'm looking at probably 20 decks right over here. And I use almost exclusively one. It's out of print. It's hard to get. I have to get it from collectors. It's like from the 90s. But do you
Yes.
have a go-to deck or a favorite, or do you switch around with your mood? And
Yeah, I do. I do switch around but generally speaking, like if I'm reading tarot for um maybe for people that aren't so familiar with tarot, I do tend to go with Rider Waite Smith traditional kind of deck because I think that the imagery resonates with people easily, and they can see themselves in the card easily. So that one I think, and when I'm teaching tarot to beginners, then I use a deck like, in that tradition. But of course, I read for myself with my deck with the Unifying Consciousness Tarot. And I have many, many decks too, Patty, and some that I keep just for me. Like there's, I love the Dark Goddess Tarot by Ellen Lorenzi Prince. Everything she does, I love. So I keep those very precious decks just for me usually.
Oh, that's beautiful. Uh, okay, this is just silly now, but do you have well, maybe it's what you already said. Do you have a favorite tarot card?
A favorite tarot card or yeah, I mean, I can say High Priestess for sure.
Well, good.
It's all, but, and so that's something, Patty, like if there's a new deck that I'm really coveting, I have to know that the High Priestess card is okay. 'Cause, I don't like the High Priestess card in the deck. Oh, that's gonna be a problem.
I love that. Actually, I love that. You have your standards that you look at.
Well, because like sometimes if it doesn't resonate with me, that's gonna bug me. Otherwise, I'm happy if people want to change the deck or use different imagery, and I like working with different styles of art in the tarot. But the High Priestess has to sing to me, otherwise.
I think that's beautiful. I'm gonna go look at all my High Priestesses. That's great. Think of you. You guys, these books sound amazing. Check them out. The decks. So where can if people are going to fall in love with you like I have? Tell people where they can find you, where they can find your books, your decks, you yourself, anything you have coming up.
Yeah. Well, the best place to find me is on my website, which is innergoddesstarot.com, because I'm Lori Lytle, but I'm also known as Inner Goddess Tarot. That's my business name. Same thing on Instagram and Facebook. And my book, Talismans and Tarot, is available wherever fine books are sold at this point. And same with them, Unifying Consciousness Tarot. And my new book coming out, it's available. Tarot for Introverts and Empaths is now available for pre-order, but same thing pretty much where fine books are sold. And it's published by Wiser.
Good. And pre-order is a good thing. I know from my publisher. So you guys pre-order it, you'll have something to look forward to. It gives her nice sales. It's really good.
It's really important, Patty. Yeah, like pre-orders are really important for creators these days. So
yeah, they are. So, all right, for a closing question, if you could leave our listeners and watchers one message about intuition, tarot, or just trusting themselves, what would it be?
Yeah, and you just said it for me there, trusting yourself, Patty. 'Cause that's something that I struggled for many years with, really understanding my own power and trusting it. And without going on and on, it goes back a lot to that introvert empath thing too, right? Where we're told there's something wrong with us or we're too quiet or all those things. So what I would say to people is just really understand and embrace your own nature. You don't have to be like someone else. You don't have to read tarot like someone else. Discover what your style is, discover what really lights you up and makes you feel powerful and special, and run with that. So trust yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Lori Lytle, for bringing your beautiful magic to the Witching Hour.
Thanks, Patty. It's such a pleasure.